presentations explain what it was and how it worked. But 14 weeks ago, my wife had her first child, so I just didn't really get around to updating the presentation. So I thought I'd wing it today. Hands up if you have not heard about ZCash. There's like one or two hands that I can see. I'll just very briefly explain. ZCash is a cryptocurrency. It's similar in nature to Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it has got very strong privacy and confidentiality. With Bitcoin, if I know your payment address, I can see all the transactions that you're receiving and sending, and I can see how much you're receiving. And if I know, for example, that you're sending money to a certain address, and I can look up that address and I can see that it's playboy.com or The Guardian or the Republican Party, then I can draw inferences about you and your lifestyle and so on. That basically breaks privacy. With ZCash, you have the ability to send transactions without revealing the source, the destination, or the amount that's being transferred. It's got very strong privacy and confidentiality, and we believe that in order for cryptocurrencies to go mainstream, privacy and confidentiality are a prerequisite. If you look at how the internet developed, it started off in 1969 as a kind of a network of academic institutions, and then in the early 90s, its killer app came along, the web, and the web took off. But it didn't take off until you had encryption protecting the communications between the users and the e-commerce websites like Amazon and the banks. It wasn't until that security aspect came in. And what security is about privacy and confidentiality. It's about protecting information, and in the case of cryptocurrencies, it's about protecting your personal financial information, and that's something that governments across the world have recognized as important. From the EU's GDPR through to the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act in the United States, which mandates that companies must protect personal financial information. Privacy is a human right, it's important, governments recognize that, and ZCash provides it, and that's our main focus. I could talk to you about ZCash and how it's so great and so on, but I'm going to talk about some of the trends that we see in this space. We launched ZCash in October 2016. We've been working on it for a few years before that, so we've been in this space quite a long time. Our CEO, Zuko, he worked on DigiCash back in the 90s, which is one of the very early proto-cryptocurrency projects, which didn't really get off the ground because they failed to solve that problem that Satoshi Nakamoto ultimately solved with the Nakamoto consensus mechanism. We see, a couple of key trends, and funnily enough, I was chatting with Brian Hoffman from OpenBazaar earlier about these trends. The first one is that, I mentioned the internet started in 1969, and its killer app arrived in the early 90s, and it went kind of mainstream in the late 90s. And now I've got the internet on my watch. It's Dick Tracy style stuff. It went from dial-up modems to having internet access on my watch. It took a long time for that technology to develop to the point where it was powerful enough, small enough, efficient enough, and usable enough to go mainstream. Today it fits in my pocket. All of the difficulties of putting in a phone number and dialing up and subscribing to an internet service provider, all that friction that made it difficult to get online in the 90s have now been removed. And everybody has one of these in their pocket, and everybody gets to access the internet. Cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are going to go through the same process. So it's something that we're grappling with at ZCash today. We've got a team of some of the best cryptographers in the world, and I'm not being in any way, hyping that up. We do have some of the best cryptographers in the world. The 7 scientists who invented the protocol that we use to create ZCash, they're professors, they're PhDs from some of the biggest and best and most respected academic institutions across the world. And then within the company itself, we have guys whose peers work at companies like IBM Research, Microsoft Research. You know, we're talking about some of the best brains in cryptography, but the best brains in cryptography and computer science aren't necessarily the best when it comes to figuring out how to make something that a user can actually use. That's one of our focuses, one of our foci, I should say, for the next phase of ZCash's growth and development. And it's something that the cryptocurrency world in general is going to have to solve. You know, we can't have the average person in the streets, you know, our grandfathers and grandmothers, who are not technically adept, who are not familiar and comfortable with technology, playing about with QR codes and with long strings of characters where if they type in one wrong, the money gets lost forever. We need to solve those problems. We need to solve the user experience, the user interface problems. We need to make it easy for people to use cryptocurrency in the same way that Apple have made it super easy to access the internet and, incidentally, to use cryptography. Underpinning a lot of Apple's services is some very powerful cryptography that protects your information so well that even Apple themselves can't access it. And we need to do that same thing for cryptocurrency. That's something that we at ZCash are working on. We've hired out people who specialize in user experience and user interfaces to do that. It's a solvable problem. Every technology goes through this curve, this growth phase, where people invent something and the technology then matures, and then people come in to figure out how to make it usable, how to make it easy to use, how to make it friendly, and hopefully in the end so friendly that even a toddler can use it. I hope that in a few years' time, my 14-week-old son, you know, is old enough to have his own debit card. He won't have a debit card. He'll have a mobile phone with a cryptocurrency wallet on it, and the experience will be just as seamless as something like Apple Pay or Google Wallet are today. That's number one. I think, you know, we're looking at these challenges. These are all solvable problems. UX is the first one. The second one is scalability. Right now, none of the existing in-operation, production level blockchain solutions are capable of delivering the same sort of transaction volume that a Visa or MasterCard are. Various projects are researching various solutions, from sharding. There's some solutions in the zero knowledge space, which is what ZCash is based on that we think may be viable for increasing the capacity of a network from the sort of dozens of transactions per second that technology is capable of now, up to the hundreds of thousands of, perhaps even millions of transactions per second that will be required in order for this technology to go mainstream and for everybody in the world to be able to use cryptocurrency. And to be able to use it not just for large value transactions, like buying a car or doing a major investment, but also for the smaller value transactions. The one that everybody cites, obviously, is paying for coffee. And that's something that we're also, is on our roadmap at ZCash. We're looking at. It's not our primary focus, and it's probably something that we won't begin to focus on heavily for a few more months. But I say next year we're going to start heavily focusing on how to scale the ZCash blockchain. And one of the great things about this space is that everything is open source. ZCash is open source, the same as Bitcoin and Ethereum are. So let's say Ethereum comes up with a great solution, and we can't find a better solution, then we're likely to end up borrowing from them, and vice versa. We've worked with Ethereum to help them add smart technology to their blockchain to build into smart contracts. It's a very collaborative space, or can be a collaborative space. I think you see a discrepancy or a gap between people who see it as an opportunity to make money and are purely focused on the profit, and people who see it as an opportunity to change the world. You see this as an enabling technology for, as Roger Ver was talking about earlier, greater economic freedom, for changing the way that we do business, for decentralizing, disintermediating some of the organizations at the moment who extract economic rent from society. And we see ourselves very much as being at the more collaborative end. We're prepared to work with people. You know, the fact that we work with Ethereum and both of our networks get more popular and become more functional doesn't detract from us. Other people see it differently. They want to get as big a piece of the pie. We want to go for expanding the pie so that everybody benefits. So user experience, making it possible for everybody to use it. Scalability, making it possible for everyone to use it. Those are two of the biggest challenges that we see. And then the final thing that I think we're going to see a huge amount of development in over the next decade or so is not actually technology focused, it's the business models that survive in this space. I said you were talking, you heard from Brian from Open Bazaar earlier. They've built this platform, buying and selling. It's very much like an eBay. And inherent in a decentralized platform like that is the fact that it can be difficult to extract value, to capture value, which normally happens by acting as a middleman. You take a little slice of everything that goes across your platform. And one of the challenges that Brian and his team are going to be facing is how do you add value in such a way that you can capture some of it for yourself without turning your platform into a place that people want to leave and go elsewhere. So those business models that currently people are doing, lots of people are doing ICOs and generating lots of revenue and generating lots of money from ICOs. There's a lot of ideas that are being put out there. There's a lot of distributed exchanges. Just like back in the dot-com days in the 90s, we have all these startups, all these great ideas, some bad ideas, that are being thrown up in the air, that are attracting money, enabling people to work on these projects. And the vast majority of them will fail. Just as in during the dot-com boom, the vast majority of startups failed. And they'll fail for various reasons. Sometimes it might be because it's just a bad idea. Other times it'll be because the timing is not right. So back during the boom, there was a company called Webvan, and they were focused on grocery delivery. They were going to revolutionize the grocery industry by delivering groceries to your home. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, there wasn't a huge market for that. So they ended up floating, getting $1 billion valuation, and then going bankrupt. 6 months after they went bankrupt, Ocado started up here in the UK. It's now a thriving business, delivers to probably hundreds of thousands of people every day. It's just a matter of timing. So I think we're going to see that with the business models. Some business models are going to fail because they're bad ideas, some because it's a matter of timing. But in time, all of this kind of Cambrian explosion of startups, of projects, of tokens, it will yield some nuggets, some very, very valuable companies that are going to, or projects or protocols that are going to change the world in the same way that Amazon, Twitter, Facebook have all changed the world. So hopefully anybody who is looking for an in-depth delve into the technology behind ZCash doesn't feel too disappointed that I decided to talk about some of the trends instead. If you do want to learn more about that technology, please come and grab me. Or you can go to our website and learn more there. But hopefully it's been of benefit to hear about some of the trends that we're seeing in this space. And with that, I think my time is up.
Nicely done, Jack. Thank you very much.